Doubles and coffee. Well, Keith Christopher Rowley, the pathological, born, developed, and perfect liar, has struck again. Just so this PNM rash that don't want to go away, come back and lie. Last month, he jumped out and said, boy, Kamlan, the Commissioner of Police, put him on Interpol list and do the one bag of lies. The email gate liar strikes again. Just so, out of the blue, Keith Christopher Rowley jump on his Facebook and attacking the UNC, attacking Kamla, attacking Barry Padarat, attacking the government for disrespecting Brian Charles Lara, the greatest batsman to ever walk this earth. Let me first of all tell you, on behalf of me, now I don't have to play games and try to pretend that Brian Lara I love and respect. I was in Fatima with Brian Lara since 1981. I was in Form 2 and he was in Form 1. Even though he's 3 months older than me, he transferred in. Since then we've been friends. As he played as a little fella, we tried to get him to play football too. He is very skillful. He played a national semi-final under 14 with us. We lost our team in Tobago and he got a cut tail from his father in Santa Cruz that the whole of Santa Cruz heard because his father wanted him to stick to that cricket. I know Brian Lara since 1981. He, York, Latapi, all of we friends. So understand this. Nobody would ever disrespect Brian Charles Lara. When Digicel came here back in 2003, 2004, I was on radio with Sprang Alang. I had Spork on Gael. I was writing 2 columns in The Guardian back then. I was an Olympic coach, just having won a bronze medal with George Bovell at the 2004 Athens Games. And Digicel tried to wage war on Brian Charles Lara. And on radio, 15 hours a week, Spork, an hour and a half on Sunday, column after column. I went after Digicel for disrespecting our national hero, our legend. They tried to take away his captaincy. They pressured him. Down to the CPL didn't want him because Digicel was a sponsor. I was there at the forefront fighting on behalf of our national hero, Brian Lara. So me I need to make no little Facebook posts and play games. But this Keith Rowley, who all of a sudden loves Brian Lara because he's played golf with him, and he sat down and drank scotch and ate shrimps with him. But Keith Rowley didn't even realize that his government not only disrespected Brian Lara, curtailed his contract, cut his endorsement from TSTT. It is Keith Christopher Rowley was Prime Minister. It is the PNM that thwarted the TSTT contract of Brian Charles Lara in 2022. Furthermore, I will go on to show you that Rowley's government disrespected all our heroes, all our sporting icons, disrespected them, cut their funding, took away what Kamla had for them. I would go through that just now. But let me now, with that little introduction, read for you what this pathological lying clown called Keith Rowley, who decimated this country, who carried us near to failed state status until Kamla Prasad Bissessa and the UNC saved us on April 28, and the rebuilding process has begun. This is the man who was Prime Minister for 9.5 years. Listen to this fool posted on his Facebook post yesterday. Dr. Keith Rowley, let me show you, it's the real thing I'm reading now. Let me see there. Brian Lara is an icon of international and intergenerational proportions. Brian Lara is among the best our nation has ever produced. Brian Lara is an exemplary citizen and a beacon of hope and generation to come. The sporting world reveres him. His records stand like a colossus above all else. His nation acknowledges him and our youth respect him. The UNC cabal and their sundry Alibabas must not disrespect him. You can cancel as many independent parades as your agenda requires. But Brian Lara must be respected and continue to represent the best that this nation prays for every day and has received as a blessing to all its people. Hands off, you Philistines. He bring God into it. He bring religion into it. He bring religious bigotism into his lying, pathological treatise typed with his fingers. This disgusting, nasty Keith Rowley. He continued. The great V.A. Richards speaks with reverence about Brian Lara, but in Trinidad and Tobago, some twit referring to Barry Paderat, the UNC, the Minister of Public Utilities, some twit thinks that Lara is to be collateral damage in the current scorched earth policy of ongoing retribution at TSTT. We will have none of it, says Keith Rowley. We will have none of it. Then he goes on to the ridiculous. The Brian Lara Stadium has been built as a legacy to his Herculean contribution. It is now a premier cricket venue in the world. The man himself must be equally respected. He must remain above the fray, above the destructive petty politics that is now consuming this nation. Let me just tell you all clearly and listen to me carefully. It was Keith Rowley's government that terminated Brian Charles Lara's TSTT contract. I hold the contract clause right here. Let me read it for you all. Definitions. In this agreement, the following expression shall have the following meanings. 1.1. This is Lara's contract with TSTT that had gone on unfettered since 2003. Kamla Prasad Bisesa was Prime Minister May 2010 to September 2015, unfettered, untouched, in fact enhanced. 1.1. Agreement period means the period of 12 months commencing on the 1st of August 2021 and until the 31st of July 2022, unless sooner terminated or extended under this agreement. It was never extended past the 31st of July 2022. Who was the Prime Minister on the 31st of July 2022? It was Keith Christopher, pathological, lying, disgusting human being, Rowley. Something is deeply and has been deeply wrong with that man, I told you. Our country could not be decimated just by a normal human being. The man is sick. Brian Charles Lara, my friend from Fatima since 1981, and a man of class. The man who got cheated out by umpires and teams more than any other cricketer in history. Brian Lara, who's a man of class, found Barry Paderat's number and called him immediately on learning of this disgusting, lying, dishonest, fraudulent post by Keith Christopher Rowley. He called Barry Paderat, the Minister of Public Utilities, and told him, sir, I don't know what or who made that statement, but my contract was ended on July 31st, 2022, under the People's National Movement. Lara clarified the issue for the whole country. And then you have this. I have it there. You all could go and see it. So let's deal with Keith Rowley first and foremost. Claiming that the Brian Lara Stadium is a tribute to Brian Lara. I went there recently to watch West Indies versus Pakistan. Normally I sit down in the party stand, which is like a concrete area. So I went upstairs by the Heritage booth and by the Sport Company booth and thing for the first time in all these years, because I never went to a CPL match, because CPL was created to damage our Trinidad and Tobago Red Force that I was supporting as Minister of Sport. That's another story. And as I sat up there on these cheap little plastic seats that look like it could break if a breeze blow. And I looked across at that stadium with two major chunks on the left and the right with no stands, only grass and concrete. I looked at the design, I looked at it and I said, but if this stadium costs more than $250 million, then somebody is lying. Because the PNM spent $1.3 billion on that stadium. An edifice of PNM corruption. And Rowley says that that is the PNM's way of honoring Lara. But the story gets worse. Let me tell you something. Rowley jumped out to try and pretend that it's Independence Day celebration and we cancel parade. Ladies and gentlemen, the parade was cancelled by the Honorable Prime Minister because of security concerns. End of story. Not for any other reason. And let me show you also when Kamla Prasad Bisesa was Prime Minister, not only was there a parade, there was real independence festival, cricket headed by Lara. Brian Lara, the TNT Red Force, will be in test its strength against a Brian Lara 11 for the independence celebrations of 2012. There's a Guardian article from the 23rd of August. TNT football legend Dwight York, former South African batsman Herschel Gibbs, Weeper President Dinat Ramana, and will take on a Ganga 11 for independence celebration. So Rowley's fallacious claim that somehow UNC is unpatriotic is disgusting and nasty. Furthermore, it gets worse. Brian Charles Lara and Dwight York were made sports ambassadors by Patrick Mervyn Augustus Manning, the man who Rowley claimed he went Lekoto and put spirit lash on him when he was ailing and dying. Rowley was the man who boasted that he went to Lekoto, and look what happened to Patrick Manning. Patrick Manning made Brian Lara and Dwight York sports ambassadors. Kamla Prasad Bisesa increased that and increased the stipend, and then included also Darren Ganga and Hazley Crawford. Let me read for you a bit of when Hazley Crawford, who won a gold medal in 1976, who was the government in 1976 till 1986, PNM, but he was never rewarded and respected. Article, July 22nd, 2010, just about 2 months after Kamla Prasad Bisesa won and made me Minister of Sport. Trinidad and Tobago's sole Olympic gold medalist Hazley Crawford said he is honored to be appointed a National Sport Ambassador and hopes it will inspire young people to do better in sport. Sport Minister Anil Roberts made the announcement yesterday at the post-cabinet press conference at the office of the Prime Minister, St. Clair, and also confirmed that national cricket captain Darren Ganga was made a sports ambassador, which was previously announced by Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Crawford first heard the news when the Express contacted him. He said he has been a sports ambassador for many years, and it was now being formalized. Only by Kamla was it formalized, paid for, perks, passport, diplomatic. Minister Roberts said the appointment was effective as of yesterday, meaning July 21st, 2010, with the normal requisite privileges of His Excellency Hazley Crawford. This is long overdue. Hazley Crawford has not only been put Trinidad and Tobago on the map, but he continues to serve this country well, Roberts said. Right? And Roberts noted that about a week and a half ago, under the PNM, that he had to pay to enter his own stadium, and the disrespect was there. Just this weekend, I went to watch national football, and Minister Watson, Parliamentary Secretary David Nakid, made sure that Hazley Crawford 2 spots were there and nobody could park in his spots because it's respected. Do you know that right now, there are no sports ambassadors receiving anything under Kamla Prasad Bisesa? There were $30,000 and all these perks. Do you know in 2016, Keith Christopher Rowley and the PNM removed all of these gentlemen from being sports ambassadors? Dwight York, Brian Lara, Hazley Crawford, and Darren Ganga. taking away their perks, taking away their stipend of $30,000 per month to promote Trinidad and Tobago. Rowley did that. Rowley canceled the contract. Rowley disrespect LARA. And Rowley come out to talk. That is who was your prime minister. Be reminded and reject PNM. Bless.